2 years ago, international offshore powerboating returned to South Africa. It was so good, they're back. And is this really God's country? Decide for yourself. Totally dominated by the magnificence of Table Mountain, Cape Town is a city tailor-made for the great sporting occasion. And with its great maritime history, offshore powerboating is probably the most appropriate of them. This week on the Fast Tracks, we follow the 1.3 litre championship through 3 dramatic and unforgettable heats.
The first World Championship was organized here in 1996, and it was a huge success from every point of view. And that has increased the interest, so we have, for this race, more entries, intercontinental entries, than in any other offshore race. So it's a great success so far.
And as always, everything got underway with the parade. Checks are next. This is one of the world's most dangerous sports.
We seal the motors, check the compasses, check deviation cards in case the compass isn't 100%. And we're looking for steerings, if there's any defects in the steering system, cracks in the mountings. Their helmets have to be painted in certain orange color with identification. Basically, just having a look to see that it's safe.
So nobody's going to get away with anything?
No, not with me.
3 days of tough competition are planned in the unpredictable waters of Table Bay.
Welcome to all the competitors that have travelled from far. Very nice to see you. We're coming.
Navigation will play a significant role as the crews negotiate up to 11 different laps each day. The fastest crew on show are Sweden's Magnus Osterholm and Stefan Bollmark, world record holders at over 83 miles an hour. Our boat is fast in calm conditions. Today we'll be flat out. A week's practice here has bolstered his chances, but England's John Miller is less lucky.
We'd have liked to do some practicing. We only got the boat out of the container last night. It was 3 weeks late, so we haven't driven it yet. But we're going out to the start, and that'll be our practice.
2 years ago, South Africa's Dean Grimbacher and Mark Freeborough pulled off a stunning overall victory. So how about this time?
Well, Peter, with the World Championships, they are always difficult. The Scandinavians have sent some really impressive equipment. John Miller's got the new B23. The water conditions certainly aren't going to suit the monohulls today, but they are going to suit the cats. But the race is over 3 days. I very much doubt that this weather will stay like this. We will get some wind later on in the event, so I think we're quite confident.
1.3 litre is the smallest offshore powerboat category, with the biggest entry. Miller, Wilson, Grimbacher and Osterholm are the favourites in the top half. And watch out for Spro, Rosen, Ekeby Shelby and Ferrong further down. Heat 1 is 73.12 nautical miles and a pretty foreboding chart. Navigators with plenty to get right or get wrong. Flat out as well, Osterholm number 22 quickly into his stride in the Yamaha-powered Argo Cat, hotly pursued by teammate Ekeby Shelby number 118 in a similar boat propelled by Tohatsu. The monohulls were destined to struggle. Alan Leighton-Wells, great start in 4th, then pulling his kill switch to 4/10. And Miller was paying for the late arrival of his boat. On lap 2, though, misfortune hit the catamarans. Ekaby Shelby slowed and then stopped. And the rest closed in. Wilson and Taylor from Guernsey slipped quietly into second, but the body language indicated all was not well. The drama continued. Ekaby Shelby got going again and was quickly reeling in Grimbacker's fourth-placed high-flying Manifeld. It was heads down, foot down, and he and navigator Linda Stenborg still considered they had a date with the podium. Thomas Renkler was next to fall at over 80 miles an hour. By now, Ulsterholm was over half a mile ahead, and the motorhall drivers, searching desperately for inspiration on a lifeless pitch, were paying the price. Or nearly. It was the sort of start Ulsterholm could only have dreamt of in the notoriously fickle waters of the Southern Cape. And whilst one eye remained on Ekaby Shelby's spectacular recovery, the other was fixed firmly on a 400-point reward. Peter Wilson and Paul Taylor were coming to terms with committing the offshore racing cardinal sin. They had gone the wrong side of Mark F twice. That meant the battle between Grimbacker 13 and Renkler 61 had suddenly a new significance. If Grimbacker 13 could now hold on and the weather turned, it would be as good as 400 points. Back with the leaders, the yellow images in Ulsterholm's rear-view mirror were getting bigger. Ekaby Shelby, with 2 laps to go, had found the perfect trim and put in a pulsating burst that would rattle Ulsterholm's cage and threaten his lofty perch. But in the end, it was not to be. The grandstand finish that had seemed so likely was avoided by Ulsterholm, cleverly producing just enough to ensure his teammate remained at arm's length. Renkler had also beaten off the furious assault of Grimbacker and Freeborough, but they, by virtue of being the first monohull home, would start the next race in pole position if the weather roughed up.
It was our conditions. Very high waves out there, and, but there was no wind, so it was no problem.
Our engines, it just stopped, and I tried to fix it and try to start it again, and it started. It's happened 2 times, and I'm going to check it out. What is it?
Well, we were the first of the monohulls in. It looked like it was going to get a bit rougher, but unfortunately it never. But yes, a pretty good race. We came in, we were the 5th boat home, but I believe there might be 1 or 2 boats that went wrong, so I think we might have come 4th.
And that's how it turned out. Peter Wilson's face reflecting a disappointing day.
Mayor will put the laurels over your head. He will give you the champagne and give him a couple of minutes to get out the way.
Yeah, will you please?
Day 2, the winds were back and practice was cancelled. And so it was off to the beach for lunch. And Ratanga theme park for tea. At least the water was flat.
Only for the mud.
Cheers.
Good evening all.
Saturday and race day 2.
The waves and the wind are not like yesterday, so we got to see what's happened.
Lots more wind today than yesterday, last race, so I think it's going to be a tough race.
Today I think we stand a very good chance. I put in my money down. Providing we can hold the boat together, if I'm not in the first year, I'm going to be a little upset, I think.
47.51 nautical miles was the required distance this time. 7 different laps, but a very different set of circumstances. The catamarans, all bar one, were suffering, and Leighton was leading, albeit perilously. Miller was beginning to like his new boat, and Rosen, Sweden's big sea specialist, moved swiftly into second. But no one had reckoned on Eckerby Shelby, ignoring the powerboat professor's thesis and driving with skill well beyond his tender 20 years. The Heat 1 silver medalist dished up a performance to set the catamaran purists simply drooling down their binoculars. Boat length 5.2 metres, sea state 2.2 metres, wind gusting 35 miles an hour, and boat speed 70 miles an hour. Stick that up your bow tank. While Thorung and Twist, a mile behind, battled for 5th. Further back, caution remained high on Ulsterholm's shopping list. The first heat winner was playing percentages in 7th, unlike his high-flying Swedish compatriot. And Norway's Morgan Spro, who was coming to life in 8th. But on lap 4, fate struck Eckerby Shelby in exactly the same spot as Heat 1. He stopped. But this time, there was no restart. The engine was dead. Miller moved smoothly and ominously into 3rd. Rosen had passed Leighton, but they had all been let off the hook. Johnny Eckerby Shelby, the likeable Swede, had been robbed. Next lap, and Leighton, unhappy with silver fare, went for something more shiny, but nearly went completely. A great recovery just ahead of Miller, but Miller had taken note. Looking at it again, this is as close to disaster as most drivers would choose to come. But it was, however, nothing compared with events that followed. One more time, the aerial flight, the propeller torque rolling the boat onto its starboard side, the vicious landing. The result, almost catastrophic. The cost, though, was negligible. Rosen gained 50 or so metres, Miller closed up, but the Welshman was still at the heart of a 3-way battle now for the day's honours. Couldn't help thinking what a treat indeed had Eckerby Shelby managed to restart his engine as he did in Heat 1. All the major drama thus far in the championship had occurred between Mark J and D, but all that paled into insignificance on lap 5, race 2. Alan Leighton saw glory in the gap between Rosen and Miller, but his unchallenged charge to the front is one he would live to regret. Once again his boat had hooked to the right, but this time there was no reprieve. Rosen stopped to check everyone was okay, and miraculously they were. Even Scott Hodges, trapped in the back of Leighton's boat, managed a shaky thumbs up. The replay showed that Miller had somehow avoided the midship collision with potentially much greater risk of serious injury or worse. But even as it was, the proximity of a propeller spinning at over 6,000 revs, inches from Hodges' helmet, was a chilling thought. Every offshore powerboat driver knows there's a 7% chance of injury each time he races. The reality of one of the world's most dangerous motorsports. With English hopes wrecked and South Africa's hot favourites Grimbacher and Freeborough seized at the start line, Sweden was suddenly favourites. The Republic flag was handed to Craig Lambert, number 9. Away from it all, number 22, Magnus Ulsterholm, kept out of trouble and in the points. Disengaged from the Welshman and under his own power, Miller made for the safety of the pits. Leighton wasn't so lucky. By now, with the race almost done, Oscarsson's persistence had paid off. He had got past Rosen, whose seat had disintegrated, and was now driving perched on his box of flares. Would there be more fireworks? The answer was no, and in the end, Furlong, the 7th at the start, finished 2nd, and the jury decided to award joint first places to Oscarsson and Rosen, who had stopped at the accident to make sure everyone was okay. There was a great 3rd place for the Lambert brothers, keeping alive South African visions of glory. So this is how it was after Heat 2. Osterholm and Bowman out front with a great chance of lifting the title, but the English dream had turned to a nightmare.
Basically, I was running side by side with the Swedish boat. We were both going quite sensibly, and suddenly between us we saw the front of Alan's boat, and we'd seen him hook and skew off a few times quite drastically before. Next thing I know, Alan skewed across in front of me. There was a wave that I was just about to hit, so I was about to be in the air. There was nothing I could do. Luckily, I managed to just make my boat go over the top of him, which was lucky for me, not lucky for him or his co-pilot. I think this is red mist, and it's not really a sensible racing accident. There was nothing about it that I think anybody should say or think was excusable, because, you know, with a bit of thought and a bit of care, it would never happen.
Race day 3 dawned grey over the mountain, and it was time to touch base with one of the growing number of young ladies attracted by the buzz of powerboats.
I think most girls take part actually because they have relatives to do it. They just get involved with the family. There are some girls who actually just race. It's a good role for a woman to sit in the back because she gets to decide where to go.
It's a very dangerous sport. Don't you get frightened?
No, I haven't yet. I have to try to remember the course and tell the driver where to go.
So the microphone on the helmet then presumably is for you to talk to him during the race?
Yes. Some people drive with a stick and hit the driver, but I think it's better to talk because you can always change your mind.
Just imagine the wife sitting in the back with a bamboo pole. Dangerous or what? This is South Africa's ailing favourite.
As with any sport, you need a little bit of luck, and we had absolutely none of it over the 3 days, and that's just the way it goes.
Meanwhile, Scott Hodges was out of hospital with time to reflect.
Yeah, I think I'm one of the luckiest men in South Africa at the moment, definitely. I can't complain because I've had my luck.
Just yesterday, he was sitting comfortably, podium place guaranteed.
And the next thing I know, I just saw his boat coming towards us, and it actually impacted on the side, came straight across the middle. As you can see, the damage. The centre console's gone, seat's gone, everything's just broken out. And the momentum of his boat rode across the top of ours. And on the wing here, the gearbox stuck in and the propeller was spinning maybe about 12 to 18 inches from my head. Well, I just want him to make sure he can try and get it repaired so I can race him soon. Because we'll be racing against each other when we get back. So at least I know how he drives now. I'll just stay away from him.
Scott Hodges smiling through the pain. Meanwhile, through the rain and after 2 days of high drama, the anticipated race 3 showdown was always likely to be anticlimactic. And so it turned out. Once again, conditions favoured the Cats. A level enough playing field, but for the wrong reasons, denying the Monos their hard-fought opportunity of victory. A top 4 finish would now ensure Osterholm would take the overall trophy home to Sweden. And that he achieved. But not before bending its propeller on a submerged object and picking up a championship-threatening bin liner on his water intake. Teammate Johnny Eckerby Shelby was once again denied his just desserts, this time breaking down 2,000 metres from home and missing certain silver overall. And all that after a starring role in the memorable Heat 2. It was total disaster for the local favourites, Grimbacher and Freeborough. They turned over shortly after this, and with them sank their dwindling podium ambitions. But there was consolation for the home fans. Morny Herhold had taken up the Republic Challenge, driving magnificently into 3rd place. Top honours, however, belonged to Peter Wilson and Paul Taylor. After disqualification in Heat 1 and retirement in Heat 2, Guernsey pride was restored in Heat 3.
This is one of the greatest days of my life anyway, to win a world championship, well, one of the races anyway. So we were absolutely staggered that we came first really, but we tried hard.
And Wilson, true to Guernsey tradition, was giving nothing away, including the champagne. And this is how it all ended up. Sweden 1, 2, 3, 4 and 6. But what if Wilson hadn't picked up a DQ or Leighton and Miller hadn't tangled? Which you'll never know.
Were you worried you may not finish?
Yeah, very worried. It's shaking in the boat and
a lot of vibrations in the engine, so you never know. The gearbox can break down or something.
The propeller axle can go off, so we are very happy.
Yeah, lucky today.
What does it mean to a country like South Africa to have a major World Powerboat Championship here?
I think it's important for us to promote South Africa as a tourist destination. For me, in the world of powerboat racing, to be part of the big family, the UIM, to have a world championship and have a successful one, proves to UIM that you don't have to have big boats to get on TV. And what we've done with our 1.3 is to prove to the world we had one of the biggest fields of international competitors in 1.3, which I think is exciting.
And the winners, ladies and gentlemen, of the Whetstone 1.3 litre World's Offshore Powerboat Championships in South Africa, and now the world champion for 1999, boat number B22, Magnus Osterholm and Stefan Bullmark from Sweden.
Drama, shattered dreams and finally tears, in a country that suffered so many of these things in modern times, but through it all remains a very special place.
Uyabaleka kulezo ntaba